retirements and attrition, lost the same amount of teachers we've lost every year, on average of around 300 teachers each year transfer out or retire out of the system. There has been no big influx or outflux of teachers due to any kind of disparity, and our teachers love teaching at the beach. Thank you.
Okay, well, the next question, Ms. LeBeau, is directed to you. Everybody are the energy-saving features of the newer schools actually working? Please be specific.
Well, I service about 69 schools, and the only thing, and I'm not in a school, in a particular school, I service the school system. And so it's difficult for me to say, as a teacher to say that's in a particular building, exactly how everything is working. Everything is working. But I can say this, is that when I'm in a building and it is too warm, they can't adjust. If I'm in a building and it's too cold, they can't adjust. I feel that it is helping us financially, but I don't know whether or not, and I couldn't answer because I'm not in the building 100% of the time. I'm not sure that is what the teachers need. Is it meeting the needs of all the students in the classrooms and teachers? I don't know what the temperature is like. That used to be a very big issue. And I said, and I can't because I was in different buildings at all times. And so it will be difficult for me to say exactly what was going on.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Ms. Reed?
Can you read the question again?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Are the energy-saving features of the newer schools actually working? And please be specific.
I'd say yes, because we get reports on that. We get briefings in our workshops on the budget issues and energy costs and running their schools, just like running the school buses. A big priority for us because it's all including money. We have done a lot of things called performance contracting, where we've taken the old fluorescent lights and put in new fluorescent lights. We put in LED lights in the gyms instead of the old sodium lights. We are saving thousands upon thousands of dollars just in lighting alone. And we've also done a lot of other things. So specifically, the performance contracting, and that's in all the schools. We've done geothermal in 3 schools. Geothermal, we're saving over half of the heating bill every winter. Half of the heating bill and half of the cooling bill in the summertime in those schools, which are, it's an enormous savings. If you can relate that to your house and what your house costs for air conditioning and heating, and then you expand that out the size of a school building, it's thousands upon thousands of dollars. Right.
Thank you, and I will reiterate everything Sam said, not to get put off here, but there is data on that, and it has been presented to us. Every year we get the data on the savings that we have. And he mentioned about the LED lights. Also, in the classrooms, most of the schools, when the lights are off, when you walk in, they're motion activated and they go on. That's a tremendous savings. You know that in your own house. Also, I can tell you, I've been in buildings and the teachers do not control the thermostat. If you work there after hours, you're freezing to death. Third grade teachers have crickets as a science experiment, and if you don't keep a hot rock on, they die because it's too cold. But that's the truth. Yes, it is working, and I think it's a good savings.
Ms. McLeod?
I'll leave it to what Sam has said, and I want to, instead of actually answering the question, is that I'm going to say this is why our school board needs a diversity of people on the board. Sam worked in the maintenance with the schools for a number of years. So what's great about the board is having someone like Sam on there who truly understands that. I served on the modernization committee. I think Dottie serves on it now. I was involved with the facility steering committee. We looked at all the different buildings. I come in as a parent and a person from the community, an activist. But my point is, with the diversity of a board, it's important to have a CPA as your vice chairman or involved. Bill Brunke is that person. It's important to have a person who has background in the maintenance. And so it's extremely important to have a nice, diverse group of people working on your board. I bring teaching and real practical experience from the outside world, the nonprofit world, the workforce world of the Virginia Maritime Association. So I'll kind of take that opportunity to say that it's important to have people to know all the different areas.
supports, and of course everyone, but who supports all-day kindergarten? If yes, why? If no, why?
I would love to have all-day kindergarten going on for every student. We have 13 schools that are Title I that do have it. But the bottom line is, it's $17 million, estimated $17 million to get all-day kindergarten in every elementary school. We have 56 elementary schools. It's enormous. We have a very large school system. The other issue is, besides the money, which we don't have, and we're not getting any funding from the federal government or the state for this, so it would be on the taxpayers' back. The other issue is, there's no data that shows all-day kindergarten is potentially effective after 3rd grade. By the time a child gets to the 3rd grade, it's a wash. Everything they learned in kindergarten is gone. You learn how to read up to 3rd grade, and from 3rd grade on, you're reading to learn. And that's the key, is literacy is more important than what a child did in kindergarten. Literacy and teaching those children to read is what's more important, and that's what we're working on.
Ms. Holtz?
I do support all-day kindergarten. In fact, I campaign on it. It's the most critical thing that children have to do, because if you can't read, you can't learn, because we learn in different ways. But everything isn't oral. Everything, you know, we use all of our senses. However, there are statistics that say that early kindergarten makes a difference in a child's life. The statistic that Stan mentioned about 3rd grade has a fallacy in it. If you just let a child go on their own after 3rd grade, that's true. Some of the benefits of fade and wash, but my recommendation and part of my campaign is to suggest that we have coaches from kindergarten on to 3rd grade so that children won't lose that benefit. So we won't end up with dropouts when they get to high school. We won't end up with people on welfare because they can't get a job. And we won't end up with kids being in jail.
Regarding kindergarten, I think everyone would appreciate having all-day kindergarten. Right now, let's say mentioned, our at-risk schools, our Title I schools, they have it. So therefore, kindergarten in Virginia Beach is not equitable. Not every parent has the same opportunity. It's not convenient for the parents when they have to arrange other daycare. That's not the reason why I want to spend $17 million of your tax dollars. That's not feasible to go. Right now, our kids are doing well. Children who require additional services are receiving it. And I don't think people think about the whole big picture of what that $17 million is. It's not just to add an extra teacher. We would have to redo the boundaries of all of our schools pretty much, which would have wouldn't that be a fun community forum? Because we would have to make sure that each of our schools have the required number of classrooms. Bayside Elementary, for example, we have 2 kindergarten classes. You do all day, that means you need 4 classrooms. So it would affect, it would be portables, it would be moving boundaries. So I don't think when people just go and say, we must do kindergarten full day, they understand all the parameters of that. Would I love to have all day kindergarten? Sure I would. It would be a great convenience to the kids or to the parents, and it would be equitable for all of our children.
Mr. Burrow?
Being a special educator, my population of students, and also looking at regular education, what my population of students, my application is would be to get most of my students in at 3 years old, as far as speech and those fine motor skills, that sort of thing, so that when they do get to kindergarten, they'll be ready. A lot of our students are not ready. I prefer all-day kindergarten simply because in a lot of cases, some of the parents cannot send them to preschool and prove this and prove that. So all-day kindergarten, to me, would assist all the students. And I don't see very much, when I look at the whole picture, I do not see very much loss. When you get to 3rd grade, and those are your vital years, and you start building on 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which is actually your reading years, and you have something to fall back on, I think all-day kindergarten is the basics of that. And if you have a start, a good start.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Holmes?
I just wanted to make a comment about the $17 billion. When you consider the benefits, I think that's a very paltry sum to pay on lifelong education for kids. There's only 4 districts in this area that do not have all-day kindergarten. And we are one of the richest cities in this state. And the fact that we can't afford it for our students is shameful.
Anybody else? Mr. Reed?
Yeah, $17 million is an enormous amount of money. And when we look at, they're talking about teacher pay raises, the VBTA wants teachers to get 5% or 10% pay raises. You're looking at money for buses, you're looking at money for the enormous amount of things that we have in our budget. $17 million is a lot of money to find and cut out of the budget. And the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what are you going to take? What program are you going to cut in order to find that money? Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, wait a minute, Doug.
Welfare costs more than 17 million. Adults that are in jail because they can't read cost more than 17 million. You pay for that, your taxes pay for that ultimately. There's a whole range of negative events that happen when a child can't read and they don't get a good education.
I know that's not one answer. Mr. Reed?
I deal with the school board budget. I have to deal with the budget we have, the money that the city council provides to the school system. And this last year, we were $750,000 short to get our employees, our bus drivers, our teachers, that pay, a 3% pay raise. So I gotta tell you, and we Dottie, you were on the board, we went through this budget fine-tooth comb, and there was no extra money there. We had a little bit of extra money that we found that we gave our bus drivers pay grade bump up from 8 to 9 in pay grade. So our bus drivers are being paid more than a McDonald's guy working there flipping French fries and hamburgers. So there is, 17 million is an enormous amount of money to find. And like I said, it's a wash by the time you get to the 3rd grade.
I don't believe it's a wash at all.
The next question, we got to move on. The next question is directed to Ms. Holmes. Position, we'd like to know your position on Common Core and your position on teaching actual American history.
And teaching what?
Actual American history.
Well, you can redefine actual, it depends on what you have in your mind. I don't support the Common Core. I think it's a good, the term Common Core is a good idea. Everybody should have a certain base knowledge, from California all the way here to Virginia. But that's not exactly what the Common Core means. They just grab that word because it sounds good. We have a strategic plan, and our strategic plan goes way beyond the demands of the Common Core. When you accept the Common Core, you also have to accept some federal regulations. And I feel that the community really should be involved in what kids should be learning. The community and, of course, the state.
Ms. McLeod?
I'm not for the Common Core, and I will fight it tooth and nail if it comes to Virginia. I've visited with lots of my teacher friends back in Indiana where Common Core did come, and a lot of the parental groups there that have been getting it ousted. However, Governor Daniels there has worked to bring it back in under another name, so we have to be careful. And I'll take that as my cue to be able to say that part of the job of being on the school board is making sure you're watching what your state legislators are doing, and that's an extremely important part of it. Actual American history, I must agree with Dottie there, it's all in the perception of the person who defines what is actual American history. I get your point, it is constitutional American history is what needs to be. You make sure that we're teaching the true fundamentals of American history. And I'm asked, yeah, right, I figured that. And so I absolutely support that. But again, back to Common Core, I will work to make sure it does not come to Virginia.
Ms. LaVerne?
I'm kind of tired of hearing all these new names. Common Core, and I've been on the, I went to an educational, it was an educational conference. I've been to two of them that talked about Common Core. Neither one of them said the same thing. And I've been on the web, I've been in the State Department, Common Core. I've done 3 curriculums for Virginia Beach. I think whatever you do with our students should be centered around our community, have parent input. To me, Common Core is not a cookie cutter. You can look across the board, it's supposed to be here, this state, here, this state, here, this state. States are so different, neighborhoods are different. So there's another curriculum out there that we're gonna pay money for or try to do, and it's not, and we're gonna try to fit our students into it. And to me, that's not, I'm an educator. You don't do that with kids.
Mr. Reed?
I don't like Common Core. I think they're trying to change American history to the political narrative of today. The federal government is trying to blackmail states and school systems into taking it, refusing to give the school systems money if they don't. Virginia has stood against it. Virginia has done very well in our Department of Education. Virginia Beach has a strategic plan. We have Compass 2015, critical thinking, global awareness. We're teaching our students to actually learn and be able to cognitively figure out what's going on instead of just answering ABC. Our standards are higher than any other standards in any other state right here in the city of Virginia Beach. And I think we're doing a great job doing that. And the proof in that is our graduation rates, and our children got $63 million in scholarships last year that graduated. You don't do that by not having high standards and great schools and great students and great teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. This next question, actually, Mrs. McLeod, if you'll take it first.
Sure.
Do Virginia Beach schools teach cursive writing?
Oh,
If yes or no, if one can't write cursive, how can they read cursive?
and this was actually, last night I was in an opportunity and a whole table of people approached me about this one. I'm an advocate for cursive writing. I know that my daughter and son received cursive instruction. What's different throughout the system is that the amount of time the teacher actually spends on it. And that's the frustration. My children didn't get a good enough grasp of it myself, so in the summertime they were thrilled when they have a poem every day that they had to write in cursive writing, so I knew they were getting those skills. I think it's important. They need to be able to not only read in it and write in it. How can they even sign their name if they don't know read or have cursive writing? So it needs to remain a part of the curriculum.
Ms. LaBerge?
Well, I was shocked when I had two of my nieces both gifted, and they were senior year, and they couldn't sign off on their name in cursive. I was stunned. I couldn't believe that, because computer had taken over and it was doing everything for them. I taught cursive writing, and it's appalling to me that this didn't happen. Well, one of the reasons why it doesn't happen a lot in the classroom is because they just don't have the time. They're so focused on that curriculum that they have in front of them, they just don't have the time. They don't have time to go pick up little Johnny that fell off the bike, because they have to maintain that pace and that constant. I watch this all the time. So cursive writing, yes, I did. I taught it, but I cannot say that every teacher has the time to do it. You know, so because it's taken away from her instructional time. So do I feel that cursive writing should be back into the classroom? You can call it old school, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Yes, it should be.
Thank you, Ms. LaBerge. Mr. Reed?
I support cursive writing. I think it's very important. We don't want our kids to go back to scribbling an X where their signature is supposed to be, because they don't know how to make cursive letters and put them together. So I support cursive writing. We do have it. It is taught, but like the others have said, there's not a lot of time spent on it, because a lot of the kids don't even want to do it. So if a kid keeps writing cursive, it's because they wanted to, not because they have to in today's world. And with all the electronic devices, everybody's texting and all that. So anyway, I do support cursive writing. I think it's very important.
Ms. Holmes?
And I do too, of course. If you can't, you cannot read the Constitution unless you can read cursive writing.
There you go.
We do teach it, but some schools place more emphasis on the others, and I think it's a concern. I've spoken about this to our past superintendent, Sheila Magula, and also our new superintendent. I belong to the League of Women Voters, and last year I was at TCC signing kids up to vote, to register to vote, and this young man came by me. He had to have been 20, and you have to print your name and signature your name. He printed his name and he said, I don't know how to write my name, and I was shocked. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm practicing, but I don't know how to do it yet. So I said, just do it, you know, just do it the way you printed it. They teach Donnelly writing now in schools, and I have a kindergarten grandson. When you make a number like N, you put a little loop on it. So later on, you just connect the loops. So that's cursive, really. It's a preliminary cursive.
Thank you. Ms. LaBerge, this question starting with